your conversion tracking is broken, pause this video right now. Running Google Ads blind is just burning cash and starving the algorithm of data it needs to perform correctly. I'll show you the step-by-step process of how to fix this, and if you stick around to the end, I'll show you the hidden feature that can save up to 30% of your data that gets lost due to ad blockers and iOS updates. I know exactly how critical getting the data right is because my ad agency manages and audits hundreds of campaigns, spending 6 to 7 figures a year. And we're not just talking theory here. This is the exact technical setup that I use for my clients every single week to ensure we get the right data into the account so your campaigns can look like this. How many conversions is coming through, the cost per conversion, associated with the overall cost, and the clicks. Now, if you don't have this data, you won't know what's performing, what isn't performing, and if you can even afford to perform on certain keywords in your campaign. Because this is a complete tutorial, we're going to break down how to set up the conversions of Google Ads, how to install it through Tag Manager, and then how to make sure everything is connecting and flowing correctly. Now, they're broken into 2 phases. Phase 1 is the in-platform work, so that's on Google Ads itself. And phase 2 is the Google Tag Manager implementation. So let's jump right in. Now, when you get to your Google Ads account, what you want to do is you want to head over to Goals, Conversions, and Summary. Now, over here, you should see lead forms, calls, emails, that type of data coming through, depending on whether your lead generation or purchases. Now, this tutorial is going to focus on the lead generation, but if you do have a purchase account or e-commerce account you want to set up, let us know in the comments and we'll do a tutorial for that as well. Down here, you want to see either web form submitted, either a click the email or click the call, depending on the country you're in. Now, this account's located in New Zealand, so they don't have the native Google forwarding call tracking. But if you're in the relevant countries, then that will be the move to go to, as Google will essentially change your number to a phone call to make sure that it is performing well. So today we're going to be looking at the form submission. So if you're in conversions and there's nothing here, we're in the right place. You want to click create conversion action, and you're going to have 2 options. You're going to have either import from GA4 or you're going to have Google Ads tag. Now you want to choose the Google Ads tag because Google Analytics 4 typically delays the attribution or delays the conversions, which delays your data, and it also doesn't give 100% credit to Google Ads. It has a different attribution system, and because Google Ads is a data-based platform, you want to make sure you give it as much data as possible, which means choosing the conversion that's going to be the most relevant. So down there, you want to choose conversion. Now, if you don't says add a source, you're going to go ahead, chuck in your URL, and then it's going to say either Google Tag or Google Analytics 4. Now, you want to choose Google Tag. So once you're in here, you want to click Save and Continue, and you're going to have your options here. Now, you're either going to choose Submit Lead Form, Contact, Phone Call Lead. You're going to not do Pay As You or Purchase, again, depending on what you're trying to run. The closest I would say is Submit Lead Form, as it means they're contacting you from your Contact Us page. So if we click Submit Lead Form, it's going to give us the option to create. Now again, you want to be using the tag here, and then you want to be choosing manual with code. Now, you can do automatic, and in that case, it would be, say, /thank or /thank you, whatever your URL after they submitted the form gets to. You want to do contains again, so thank you or thank, depending on the URL, but for us, we're going to do manually with code for now. So if you're going to go down to conversion settings, what you're going to see is you're going to see the primary action selected. You want to keep that. That means it's going to influence your bidding, and it's also going to come up with the conversion numbers in your Google Ads account, so you can see on the screen what it looks like. Now you can leave the conversion name as is, or you can change it depending on what you are tracking. So for us, we're going to say contact form submitted, and when we get down to conversion value, what you want to look at is you want to go either use different values for each conversion. That's typically for e-commerce. We're going to choose use same conversion for every action. Now, what this means is every lead that's submitted essentially is an identical conversion value. Now, if you have multiple forms on your website that indicate different levels of buying, say for example, if you had a contact form that is for retail and then a contact form that is for business, and therefore the average order value is significantly different, you want to have two conversions and you want to change your dollar value depending on the form value. For most people, you'll just have the one. So for this case, we're going to say it is average of $500 per lead. Now, coming down to the count is how many times does a user submit a form affect the conversions and the reporting. So if you come on, you submit 5 forms. If you click every, it will be 5 conversions. If you click one, if you go from the ad to the website, submit the form 5 times, it will just say 1 lead. Again, for 90% of lead generation companies, it is going to be the one option that you want to select because the first form is always going to be the most relevant. Any subsequent form is usually additional information. A click-through window is how long after the click does the conversion count. So if you click on the ad on the 1st of August and you convert on the 20th of August, that would be 20 days after the click. That's what the conversion click-through window is talking about. How long after the click on the ad do you want to account for? Now, the max is 90 days, and I usually suggest 30. If you are a longer sales cycle client, like a software or some form of high research industry, you might want to extend this. Now, the engage, view through, and view through is essentially for YouTube campaigns. So if they've seen the ad but don't click, or just seen the ad but didn't click, then you want to say how long after that view does the conversion account for. Now, I typically leave these as blank if you want really get a lot of them if your campaign is set up correctly. Caveat there, if you're some high intent informational based service, then it would obviously start to improve, but most local services or small businesses that are service based are usually going to have click based leads, as it's going to be people who have directly interacted with your ad, not seen it and been influenced to look at you up later. Now, enhanced conversions is a system in which you send your user information back to Google Ads when the ad blockers have stopped pixels from firing. So this whole thing we're setting up is a pixel that we're going to send in the browser. Now, if you have an ad blocker on, these can be affected. So keep that in mind when we're setting it up. For now, we're going to leave it. So click done and click save and continue. And now we're going to get to the Google Tag Manager section. Before we move on to phase 2, if you want to make sure that your account is set up for success before you spend a dime, click the link in the description for a free Google Ads audit. My team will look through your account and make sure everything is set up properly before anything goes wrong. If you're finding that things aren't working, feel free to jump on and we can audit in a live account as well. Now, phase 2 is actually connecting Google Ads to Google Tag Manager. Now, we go over to Tag Manager over here. So tagmanager.google.com. You're going to have to create an account and it's going to ask you to put some code in your website. Now, most websites these days have this native option where you can just add code to the header or the footer, or if you're using WordPress, there's usually a lot of plugins that will allow you to do this. So we won't go over that today, but if you're stuck, reach out. We'll be more than happy to give you a hand. So once it's installed, you want to go over to tags on the left here and then click new tag, and you're going to click on a configuration and Google Ads, and then Google Ads and conversion tracking. Now, it's going to ask you for 2 things, your conversion ID and your conversion label. So we'll go back over here. It's going to say use Google Tag Manager. Now, once you click that, you're going to copy your Google conversion ID, put it here, make sure there's no space there. Then go to your conversion label, copy that and paste it here. Now, you'll notice a warning, which we're going to deal with in a second. You want to name it something that is memorable. So I'm going to name it Google Ads conversion tag, and then I'm going to go dash contact form, and then you want to do a trigger. Now, a trigger is what fires the tag. So for most people, it's going to be a thank you page. So we're going to go up here, plus on the trigger, which creates a new one, and we're going to go thank you trigger. Now, for everyone, it's going to be different, but you want to essentially do page view, some page views, and you want to choose the page URL. Now, what this essentially does is it looks at the page you're on, so the browser your URL, and it fires when it contains a certain word. So once you submit a form, you might have a thank you, a thanks, or some variation. So you're either going to go contains thank or contains thank you. Again, depending on your individual page. So for example, if we look at ours is thank dash you. Again, yours is going to be very different depending on what URL yours is set up. Once done that, you want to go save, and then you want to go save on here. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to go new tab configuration, Google Ads conversion linker. Now, the conversion linker is going to ensure that your clicks from the ad to each individual page is transferred. So it makes sure that none of the data is lost. Super important to make sure that you're getting the right information in your account. Under triggering, you want to choose all pages and click save. And then lastly, you want the Google Ads base tag, which is the main configuration of the Google Ads page, which you'll see here, Google tag. Now, the tag ID will be AW dash, and then you want to go and copy the ID. Once you've done that, all pages is fine. And again, you want to name it something that's memorable to you. Once you have all of that in place, we should have your Google Ads base tag, which fires on every single page. So make sure we're tracking people who get to the page so we can remarket them if need be. And Google understands people who've gone onto the page via the click. The next thing you want is the conversion linker, which is going to make sure that if they click on 10 different pages on your website, the click ID isn't lost, and the click ID is what tells Google that that person actually came from an ad. Lastly, you want the conversion tag itself. So once that's done, you've got the account set up and ready to go to track leads. Now, as I mentioned, there are going to be a few other options for phone calls and click to emails depending on your particular account, but that depends on the country and setup you're in. So I would always recommend trying to get a call tracking set up if possible. Again, if you're always stuck, let us know, drop a comment in the video and we'll put through a tutorial that you need. Now, the last thing I mentioned as a bonus is enhanced conversions. Now, what enhanced conversions does is it gets the name, number, address, and any relevant information like email to send back to Google, so that if someone is logged into Google, they make a search and then they fill out a form, even if it breaks the connection in the middle, Google will send that data back to its servers and match the user to the actual searcher. So that gets around some of the cookie blockers. It's not perfect, but it does require a bit of a back-end setup. So depending on the site that you're using and the developer resources you have, this may be relatively complicated to set up manually. So what I typically suggest is we turn them on, we agree to finish, and then in the back end of the settings, you tick automatic, which means that Google's tag, which is this one here, will look for the individual strings to top on. So if we go down here, we look at our conversion that we just completed, and we go down to enhanced conversion settings. Here, go to settings. You want to change it from Google tag to Google tag manager. You want to use that one here, and then in your Google tag account, you want to go into the tag you selected, and you want to go add parameter, and you want to go user data, and then here you want to click create variable, and you want to go automatic collection. What this will do is it will scrape the parts of the page that say email, phone number, etc., so that Google's tag knows that this is the relevant data to send back to the server. So want to go here, use the data, save that, and then don't forget to hit submit. So once you've done that, you'll have your Google Ads conversion tracking set up, your enhanced conversion set up, and your general account is ready to start collecting conversions. Now, as I mentioned before, if you do have a developer resources, doing the enhanced conversion manually is going to provide a greater level of detail and a greater level of correct and relevant information. So depending on the resources available to you, you can either choose the automatic section or the manual section. But again, it is developer intensive, so don't give it a go if you don't know what you're doing. Always reach out to the developers if you can. If you want me to put a tutorial out on how to manually do it without a developer, let me know and I'll put something together. But it is quite intensive and it does require basic understanding of JavaScript. Now, having your conversion tracking set up flawlessly is imperative to make sure your Google Ads campaign is working. However, it won't fix flaws in your setup, issues in your structure, different match types, and other issues that can be rampant in accounts. So if you want my team to have a look at your account, make sure that your structure is correct, your bidding is correct, your keywords are correct, your ads are correct, and all the other little bits and pieces that will make the account fail for free, click the link in the description and book in your free Google Ads audit. And once you've done that, go watch this new video on 3 ways to see if your Google Ads agency is ripping you off. I'll show you exactly what you need to pay attention to make sure you get the right bang for your buck. Go click that video right now and I'll see you over there.